Have you ever played Half-Life Uplink and thought, no, I don't want this demo to be like this. I want it to be different. I don't know how different, but I just don't want it to be the way that it is at this very moment. If you have, then that's a pretty non-specific thought right there, and I think most people wouldn't be able to do anything with this at all. But, let me just rip the band-aid off. I found a mod that is a homage to Half-Life Uplink, and it's called Half-Life Downlink. Is this mod good? Is it bad? We're about to find out. Let's roll that intro. LambdaGeneration. Half-Life Downlink is a mod for the original Half-Life created by a team called The Dumb Crew, with its lead developer being Snitch, a modder from Germany. The goal for Half-Life Downlink, which is their first mod by the way, is to create a homage to the original Half-Life Uplink, reusing some story beats and using variations on Uplink's locations to tell a similar, yet slightly different kind of story. The mod also contains no new models, weapons, textures, or pretty much any custom content apart from maybe a few soundbites and new voice acting for the scientists at the beginning of the mod. So we're supposed to be getting a pretty vanilla experience here that, according to the ModDB page, will only last around 10 to 15 minutes to get through. But spoiler alert, it took me a little longer than that. Apart from what I just mentioned, there isn't a whole lot more to know about this mod, or rather a demo as the team describes it, because they don't want to classify this as a full-fledged mod as it is, well, their first project. And this is something to keep in mind as we jump into the actual gameplay/review portion of this video. I will be going over the good stuff that this demo is doing, and I also will be going over the things that it could improve on and give some honest feedback so that their next project can really shine. Don't worry, I'm not going to be too harsh. So let's see what Half-Life Downlink has to offer. Downlink indeed takes a lot of inspiration from Half-Life Uplink. You can tell almost straight away when you're dropped into a pretty similar situation to the beginning of Uplink. You find yourself needing to go through a door that will only open when a particular signal is given. You need to go to the Delta Labs in order to activate an antenna to be able to get a permission signal so that the door can open. So yeah, an antenna instead of a satellite dish this time. So we go on our way to achieve this goal. We have to fight through maintenance areas, corridors, outdoor areas, dark facilities and laboratories until we finally get to the antenna and activate it. We make our way back and we can now finally go through this closed door and continue on our journey. And that's where the mod ends. So yeah, lots of similar beats to Uplink, but it does take a slightly different direction after you activate the antenna. Instead of going through a whole maintenance area and partially backtracking, you get to a part of the Black Mesa facility that is engulfed in darkness, and it actually gets a little bit creepy. Scientists laying dead on the floor everywhere, or hanging on ropes from the ceiling, and some scientists have even frozen themselves to death inside of a freezer. Some pretty grim stuff. So let's talk about the things that this mod does pretty well. It's a pretty interesting take on Uplink with enough differences to keep you guessing what's coming next. Some of the indoor areas of the mod look pretty on par with what you would find in the original game. And there's even some interesting and detailed looking geometry here and there, such as these pipes, which couldn't have been easy to make. I also like the antenna room with these concrete bars being supported by these metal supports. I love it when developers take the time to experiment with details like these. And like I said before, there is also custom voice acting here.
Open the security doors already, we have to get away from here.
I can't. These doors are linked with Bravo and Sierra Labs, and without their permission signal, I cannot open them.
While it's definitely not done by professionals or anything, it does do the job really well, and I honestly prefer this over having just standard Half-Life scientist quotes. It's just admirable that the developer went out of their way to rewrite and re-record this entire section to fit their mod instead of just reusing the dialogue from Uplink, which they could have also easily done, so kudos for that. Other than that, the experience indeed feels very vanilla Half-Life and doesn't really do anything wildly different from the main game, and that's by design. So now that I've praised the mod, it's time for some feedback as well. Again, keep in mind that this is the first mod this team released, so I'm really not going to be too harsh here. The outside areas I think could have used a little bit more love. The rockwork looks way too boxy and doesn't really have any details to them, making the outside areas feel more like retextured indoor areas with a skybox. There is also practically no music and ambient noise in the mod at all, maybe apart from the fighter jet noises you hear when you make contact with the outside world. And those noises go on for a little too long and can actually get a little bit annoying after a while. I feel like adding music and ambient noise would have really elevated the mod to the next level, especially when it comes to these scary parts that happen later in the mod. There is kind of no sound at all in these sections besides the sound you and your enemies make. Imagine finding this hanging scientist and hearing a musical cue of some kind. It would have given this moment a lot more impact. Or when you open this fridge and find all the frozen to death scientists. It just feels a bit cold now. Get it? Cold. Certain areas of the mod are also plunged into complete darkness, and I really do mean that there is no light anywhere until you turn on some sort of power generator, making you use your flashlight almost the entire time in these sections, which can quickly become a bit annoying. Maybe that's a nitpick, but I think having a few dim emergency lights would have helped this area not only be a little bit better to play through, but it could have also enhanced the scary atmosphere a bit, I feel. There is also this moment in the game where you have to fight a bunch of aliens and HECU grunts at the same time. You can of course end their lives with your own arsenal of weapons, or you can use the turret that's in the same area. However, I didn't notice the turret being there until after the encounter was over because it was placed outside of my line of sight when I first entered this area, hiding in a dark corner. I think it might have been a better idea to put this turret on the opposite side of the area in the immediate line of sight of the player when they enter, so that the player will instantly notice it being there and that it's an option to take during combat. And there you go, that's my feedback. Again, this is someone's first mod, so I really don't want to be too harsh on it. And honestly, there is a lot of good in this mod too. You can really see the amount of care and love that went into it, and I think with the few improvements that I've mentioned in this video, this mod could really rock. I would also like to say that I'm no expert on this either, by the way. I've never released any mod, except for like maybe a single map, but these bits of feedback would, in my opinion, make the mod ever so slightly better. If you disagree with me or have any other helpful tips for the developers, then leave them in the comments. But let's stay civil and constructive, please. And you can, of course, check out Half-Life Downlink by checking the description below. Also, let me know what you think of these kinds of videos where I play a mod and give constructive criticism. I usually tend to only cover mods that really blow me away, so this is a bit of a different thing than I normally do. Should I make more of these? Let me know in the comments about that as well. To the Dumb Crew and Snitch, I really hope you all continue on with your modding journey. This is some promising stuff and I can't wait to see what else you'll be making.
LambdaGeneration.